Um, the flip side of this coin is that with every joy there is fear and hesitation and sometimes sadness. So the other thing is that the staff is really experiencing some of those feelings as well. So Tim, where is your hesitation, fear, sadness about this transition?
Yeah. Well, for me, you and I have both been doing this full time for almost 2 years now. We were just talking about this. We're almost at the 2-year-old anniversary of the Netzer Co-op, which is a little bit scary in and itself. And for me, it feels a lot like we're starting all over again. And I'm sure that it feels that way for other people too. It's as if we are relaunching the community. But at the same time, there is this kind of really profound sense that the Spirit is guiding us into that. And so it's not overwhelming for me of a concern. It doesn't prevent me from any of that. But
Jesus is back.
It does really scare me at a real kind of gut level, especially as we relate to the ELCA and try to figure out what this might mean for our relationship with them. I think it's a really big concern. It has a lot of merit to it, and I think all of us have a huge, that's a real legitimate concern for all of us. What about you? What is your biggest hesitation?
Mine is really just listening to our San Marcos and Seguin community, and then listening to our Austin community, and then the really huge void and almost like cavernous, place in between the two. There is a fear that when we move into the Austin community, what will happen to the scene. And honestly, as a staff person and as a pastor, I just don't know. I don't know what that's gonna do. And I think that there's great potential for Seguin San Marcos to thrive, but I also see the danger in it just falling off. But at the same time, listening to the people in Austin who are so excited about something starting, it's but I think we're the only people that really get to experience.
We kind of get torn between those things, I think, sometimes. We're trying to be the ears, and it's like sometimes we're put on opposite ends of that and kind of pulls at us, I think.
So I think my deep sadness in the whole transition is kind of interesting in that I wish that everyone in Seguin and San Marcos could see the potential and the excitement for Austin, and then the gifts that they could bring into growing that community.
Yeah, definitely.
And then, how do I, as a person and a leader, get y'all excited about that, and moving into doing that kind of stuff. So, for me, it's about the duality of the two communities, and then how do we bring them together? Do we even need to? Struggling through all of that, is kind of my greatest fears and sadness.
I think one of the things that you and I talked about a lot was what kind of metaphor might we create to really help each other.
You talked about
that. Touché. But I think, this idea that, I wish I could find some way to name this struggle that a lot of us are going through. And for me, personally, it feels a lot like we are at a place, finally, where we are moving out of the house. We've been housed, I think, basically by Mom and Dad.
AKA the ELCA.
Right? Thanks, Bri.
You're welcome.
And if you're going to go out on your own, you certainly don't have to have a strategy for how that's going to happen.
No.
But it sure does help, because after a while, I think we might get hungry, and we might need to support ourselves, and we might need to take responsibility for the things that we're doing. And I think that part of that means taking God as seriously as God is taking us.
I agree with you. And I see a lot of that in pieces that are just falling into place.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think Mom and Dad have definitely sat us down and raised the question, so when exactly are you moving out? And we have to answer that. And the answer right now is, I don't know. But then all of a sudden God starts coming in and providing ways for that to happen. And it's as scary and as frightening as it is, it's hard to ignore.
Probably one of the reasons why it's hard to ignore goes really well with what we were just talking about in a really pretty good conversation with the bishop from the Gulf Coast, Texas area, and he was saying, basically, what is it about your ministry that would mean the difference to the community? What is it about your community that would matter to an outsider, somebody who has no interest in this community being Lutheran, probably no interest in this community being Christian, but what would that matter to an outsider? And that's something that we're just now beginning to struggle with. And that is a profound question. I think we really wrestle with that.
We do. And we've heard from our community that what would matter is very deeply within our own inside circle. Like, if we didn't exist anymore, it would matter to us. But the next step of that question is, if we didn't exist anymore, would it matter to everyone else? And we've always talked about being a community that it would matter to everyone else. And so we're struggling through figuring out that everyone else is.
Yeah. You're going to laugh at me, but that's okay.
I always do.
Walter Brueggemann goes through this.
I've been talking about this guy for the last 2 days. I'm going
to be really honest. I'm going to admit it right here and now. I have a man crush on Walter Brueggemann. I do. You and me, Walter. In his kind of whole prolific theological greatness, I just said that, actually, because I'm that much of a theological fancy pants. He actually had to go to psychotherapy, which is kind of funny to me, thinking about this guy who writes all this amazing stuff, having to go into psychotherapy. And he talks about it being so hard in Atlanta, being who he was, to actually have to make arrangements to, in secret, go do psychotherapy. And he says in there that after 2 months of psychotherapy, the psychotherapist sat him down and said, "So are we going to keep doing this, or do you want to talk about something important?" And it was like, snap, right? Like, oh, I mean, the guy has, yeah. And it was just, that was really convicting. And I think there's an element of that in our community now. Is that as we approach 2 years, and as we think about what this means to have 2 full-time staff people like you and me committed to this, and the opportunity of partnerships and all that. Are we going to talk about something important, something bigger than ourselves, something that might really make the difference to the neighborhood that we're in?
Right.
So we're hoping that some of this has been encouraging. We're hoping that some of this has been some assurance for you that we have heard you. We have heard your concerns, that we too are worried about what this might mean for our community.
Very much.
And but we're also very excited about it. We think there's lots of potential, and we trust that the Spirit is guiding us. And we've always kind of said we're ready to fail at this thing miserably, and we've never known what we're doing. So I don't really know what. It's pretty.
Come on and join.
Right? Jump on the failure messy bandwagon, guys.
Failure everywhere.
So yeah.
With that being said, we hope that you guys know that if there is any more questions, concerns, comments, stripes, or drama, not drama, you can talk to either one of us or within the community itself, and that we really want, I personally want you guys to experience what's going on in Austin and why we're so excited about it. And starting in February, that will, with weekly worships and the Extra Jesus Center Pub, that will become easier and easier. So please, I know it's a drive, but come on out and really see what's going on there. It's very exciting.
Awesome. Cool. Well, thanks for watching our little video. Hopefully, you don't feel like your life, we just took away 15 minutes of your life that you'll never get back. You'll never get these 15 minutes back.
Never.
So, thanks for watching.
But look at the lace. It's very pretty.
There will not be lace in Austin.
No, there won't.
We're probably going to have to edit this part out.
Yes, we will. Lovies.
Lovies.